Have you ever had a moment so strange, so chilling, that it makes you question everything? Yeah, that happened to me. And after that night, I swore I'd never take another night shift again. Welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. What I'm about to share still haunts me to this day. Let me take you back to the night it all went down. I used to work the night shift at a gas station, an SLC convenience store just off a quiet, lonely stretch of highway. I say used to because after what happened a few months back, there's no way I'm ever doing that again. It was a small station, the kind that barely gets any traffic once it's late. Most of my shift was just stocking shelves, wiping down counters, and every now and then ringing up a trucker or random traveler. I remember it like it just happened. It was around 2:30 in the morning. Even the truckers had cleared out by then, and I was stuck with absolutely nothing to do. I sat behind the counter scrolling my phone, just trying to stay awake. Eventually I stepped outside to get some air, rubbing my hands together in the cold. I remember watching my breath fog up, little clouds disappearing into the night. The lot was dead empty. Just a couple pumps, the dark road beyond them, and a wall of trees. The neon sign above the station buzzed and flickered faintly. It was hazy out too, like you could actually see the moisture hanging in the air. Even with the highway nearby, it was strangely silent. Right as I was about to head back inside, something shifted, just barely in the corner of my eye. I turned my head and froze. There was a man standing behind one of the pumps. I don't know how I missed him earlier. He had on a dark red hoodie, hood up, hands shoved deep into his pockets. There wasn't a single car around, so he definitely wasn't getting gas. But he also wasn't moving toward the store. He just stood there, half turned in my direction, watching. At first I thought maybe he was waiting for someone, but something about how he moved, it just didn't sit right. He kept shifting his weight, in this weird circular shuffle. I walked back into the store but made sure to keep eyes on him through the glass. I pretended not to watch, hoping maybe someone would drive up, pick him up, whatever. But after a few minutes, he started walking toward the door, slow at first. Then suddenly, all at once, he shoved it open and came inside. He walked straight up to the counter but didn't say anything at first, just stared like he was sizing me up. Then real fast, like he was reading from a script, he said his car broke down just before the pump. He asked if I had a gas can or maybe could help give him a jump to the next town. I was thrown off. He didn't even try to make it sound believable. It was like he didn't care whether I bought it or not. I told him I could call a tow truck for it. No, he said immediately, shaking his head. He just needed a flashlight, maybe some help looking under the hood. Everything about him felt wrong. His words, his eyes, like he was watching for my reaction, testing me. To be fair, people who show up at gas stations at that hour are usually a little off, but this guy felt different. Still, I asked where his car was. He said it was parked just past the highway entrance. I was skeptical, but then he pointed to the security monitor behind me. I turned around to check, and yeah, there was a car parked out there. But that's when my stomach dropped. I had just been outside. There was no car there before. I'd have noticed. Then something else caught my eye. On the screen, near the back bumper, there was movement. Someone was crouching, just out of full view. That's when the dread hit me. I gave him a fake smile and said I'd help, but needed to grab my phone from the back office first. I walked calmly, slowly, not wanting to set him off. As soon as I was out of his line of sight, I hit the emergency panic button under the counter. The alarm went off instantly, blaring through the store. I braced for the worst, but he didn't panic, didn't flinch. In fact, he relaxed. All that twitchy, fake nervous energy disappeared. He just stood there, then gave me this slow, unsettling grin. It wasn't embarrassed. It wasn't even angry. It was amused, like this was some kind of game. Before I could move, he turned and I bolted for the monitor just in time to see two figures, him and the one crouching, sprinting into the woods behind the station, not toward the car, away from it. The car sat there off, no engine, no lights, no one inside. By the time the police got there, it was the same. The car was still sitting empty, No one around. No footprints. No sign of where they went. But then an officer pointed something out. The front passenger door was wide open. There'd been a third person inside the whole time. The cops took my statement. I handed over the surveillance footage. A few days later, they followed up. Turns out the car had been reported stolen over 100 miles away. And almost a week before, no one claimed it. No missing persons. No crimes connected. Just an abandoned car. And a night I'll never forget. That was months ago. Still no answer, and I still have no idea what those people were planning. But one thing I do know, I'll never work another night shift again. My name's Cadence, and I work the closing shift at a small dive bar tucked away in a quieter part of town. The place sits just off the highway, but there's a back entrance that opens up to the local streets. It's nothing fancy. Dim lighting, worn stools, and a jukebox that's been stuck on the same classic rock loop for what feels like decades. Most of our crowd are locals, truckers passing through, or the occasional lost tourist needing a stiff drink. I actually enjoy it. The routine is predictable, the tips are decent, and I've gotten good at dealing with the usual bar personalities, the chatty regulars, the flirts, the silent drinkers, and those who clearly want to be left alone. Weekends get wild, sure, but during the week, it's quieter. The trade-off, I usually work alone. No barback, no backup, just me and the late-night crowd. While the pace is slower, I do miss having co-workers around. I stay alert. During my shifts, bar fights do happen now and then, given the variety of people who roll through. That's why I noticed the guy the second he walked in. It was sometime after 1 a.m. on a Tuesday. He looked mid to late 40s, clean cut, well groomed, far too polished. For a place like this, he wore a black turtleneck under a black trench coat, dressed nicely, but effortlessly. He had this presence about him, like someone used to money, but the quiet kind, not the flashy, attention-seeking sort. He scanned the room slowly, then made a beeline for the bar, and sat with perfect posture. Odd detail, I know, but it stood out. When I approached, he glanced at the bottles behind me, and ordered something top shelf, without a blink. As I poured his drink, he asked if I liked working there. Normal question. I said yes, smiled, made a joke about bartending. He didn't seem creepy, just friendly. Think that one upbeat dad, cheering at his kid's baseball game. We talked a little, and I didn't mind, since the place was dead quiet. Then he asked if I'd ever thought about doing something more bigger. Strange question, but not entirely out of place. I gave him my usual happy where I'm at response. He nodded and took a sip, but I could sense disappointment in his silence, for reasons I didn't understand. After a pause, he asked when I got off. That caught me off guard. He hadn't flirted once, so the sudden shift felt cheap. I gave a vague, friendly response, and started cleaning the counter to move things along. He didn't push it, just smiled like he already knew the answer. Then he finished his drink, placed a crisp $100 bill on the bar, like it meant nothing, and walked out into the night. I didn't know what to make of the interaction. It sounds minor, but something about his vibe stuck with me off my radar, in a way that kept me thinking. Still, I figured that was that. I wouldn't see him again, but I was wrong. A week later, he came back. This time with a woman. She caught my attention right away. I'd never seen her before. She looked mid-30s, dressed like she was trying too hard to pass for younger, stylish, but off. As they approached, I watched her closely. Everything she did felt deliberate. The too bright smile, the way she leaned on the bar like we were best friends. Before I could say a word, she said, "You're so pretty," her fingers brushing my arm just a moment too long. I laughed politely, thanked her, but immediately felt something wasn't right. The man stayed silent. Odd, considering how chatty he was last time. They ordered drinks. I poured. And then the questions started. She asked how long I'd worked there, how old I was, random bits of personal info. I kept my answers short and polite, but I could tell this wasn't small talk. She was studying me. At one point she looked at him, and weirdly, it felt like they were having a whole conversation without words. Then she leaned in and said she ran an exclusive club, private parties, lots of money, said they were always looking for fun young people. 10 grand for a weekend. I gave a half laugh, said it sounded too good to be true. She insisted it was real, said plenty of girls like me worked with them. Her smile never broke, not once. And that was somehow the creepiest part. She kept circling back to the offer. Fun, safe, exclusive. Then she said it. You should come outside for a second. Someone can explain better. That was it. My heart started pounding. No more pretending. I'm good, I said flatly. No smile this time. Right then, a group of customers came in, laughing loudly. The woman's expression changed. Just a flicker, but enough to see her mask drop. Without another word, she turned to the man, and they left. I felt deeply unsettled. I told my boss and co-workers. Everyone agreed to be on alert. My boss promised he was only 15 minutes away if I ever needed him. And our cameras were usually enough to keep people in check. Not much else we could do. They hadn't broken any laws. A few nights later, after closing, I saw a car parked across the street, lights off, engine silent. I told myself it was nothing, but the feeling of being watched crawled over my skin like static. I walked to my car, head down, keys tight in my fist. As I pulled out of the lot, I checked my mirror. The car followed, not close enough to be obvious, but every turn I made, it matched. I took a random side street, still there. My panic rose, but I forced myself to stay calm. Then, without second guessing, I drove straight to a police station parking lot. As I pulled in, the car peeled away. Nothing happened after that. For a while, but it wasn't over. I was right. Another slow weekday shift, just past midnight. I was wiping down the bar, considering closing early, when the door creaked open. It was her. I subtly texted my boss. She approached with that same eerie smile and sat down, folding her hands neatly. I was about to tell her to leave, when she said, "Thought I'd come check on you." My stomach turned. I told her we were closing, and she had to leave. She pouted, asking for one last old-fashioned. I figured stalling her might buy time for my boss to arrive, so I turned to make the drink. Then I heard it. The front door shut softly. I spun around. She was gone. A sick feeling hit me as I moved toward the door. Through the glass I saw a black van idling outside. I locked the door immediately. Then I heard metal rattling from the back. Someone was trying to get. I grabbed the heaviest thing near me, a metal shaker, and held it like a weapon as I dialed 911. The cops wouldn't make it in time. I thought about bolting through the front, but stayed put. Then headlights pulled into the lot. My boss. The noise at the back stopped. A few seconds later, the van screeched out of the lot. I ran to my boss and told him everything. He'd caught the license plate. When police arrived, we watched the footage together, and it was worse than I thought. Just before the woman left, 2 masked figures had been crouched by the door, a third at the back, pounding on it, trying to flush me out. And that plate, unregistered. It's been a while now. No leads, no arrests, nothing. The only good thing to come of it is that I don't work nights alone anymore. Still, I can't shake the unease. What haunts me most is how they knew I'd be by myself. Even now, I sometimes wonder, what would have happened if I'd opened that door?
This happened a couple weeks back. I work overnights at Walmart. It's not the worst gig, but after a while, everything starts to feel the same. You sort of drift through the shifts, like you're sleepwalking. Same aisles, same lights humming overhead, same routine every night. I keep hoping something better shows up. I'm usually posted in electronics. It's the quietest part of the store. Nobody's showing up at 2 a.m. needing a phone charger or headphones. Mostly it's truckers passing through or people with nowhere else to be. That's how I noticed him. He didn't look strange at first, just another customer slowly wandering around. But after a while, I realized he wasn't shopping, not even pretending. Every time I looked over, he was nearby, standing still, not browsing, not moving, just there on the edges. I kept trying to shake the feeling, told myself maybe I was just tired. But something about how he kept watching me without doing anything felt wrong, not just weird off. He never said a word, never asked for help. It felt like he wanted me to notice him. I decided to radio a supervisor, but nothing. Just static. Batteries must have been shot. I figured I'd find someone in person. That's when a hand grabbed my arm. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Before I could say anything, this woman appeared, smiling big and cheerful. "There you are," she said, like we were friends. She launched into some fake story about how she'd been looking all over for me. I didn't know her, not even a little, but she held onto my arm tight and kept smiling. Then she leaned close and whispered, "He's recording you. Come with me." My stomach dropped. I looked back. He was still there, only now he wasn't even faking it, just standing there, eyes locked on me. Cold. I let her lead me without thinking. Her grip didn't ease up. She talked like we were catching up, laughing, telling stories. I barely processed a word. My brain was reeling, recording me. What the hell? I didn't dare turn around. I just followed her, focused on getting away. She moved fast, cutting through aisles like she knew where to go. I kept waiting for her to drop the act. She didn't. If anything, she leaned into it more. Eventually, I tried slowing down, told her I thought we'd lost him, maybe we should find a manager, but her hand clamped tighter, said he was still close. It freaked me out again, but now that I wasn't alone, I tried reasoning it through. What's he really gonna do in a store like this? It's not like I'm isolated. I said she could let go, told her I was okay now, but she didn't. She just smiled again, a weird smile. "Almost there," she said. She was pulling me now. That's when I realized where we were. We'd gone past the checkout lanes, past the crowd, heading toward the back, the storage area, dim, empty, and beyond that, the side door, the one only employees use, no customers, no cameras, and suddenly it all clicked. She wasn't saving me, she was with him. I panicked. I yanked my arm and screamed. Her grip slipped just enough. I ran. She called after me. She used my name, which I had never told her. I felt sick, but I kept running. One of my co-workers saw me and came running over. I told him everything. He called security. They pulled the footage. Both of them had come in together. The guy's face, clear as day. Hers, always turned just enough to stay hidden. She knew what she was doing. Too well. She was the one in control. I know it. The cops got called. They said it counted as an attempted abduction. I'm still waiting to hear more. They're trying to ID the guy. Shouldn't be hard. His face was on camera. But the woman, she vanished like smoke. I still can't figure out how she knew who I was. That's what eats at me. This wasn't random. I was picked. If this story gave you chills, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. I want to hear your thoughts, or if something like this has ever happened to you. Stay alert and take care.